Hi there, I'm Randy Patterson. This is another in a series of posts on cognitive distortions. These are ways that human beings routinely misperceive the world around us. We're looking here at the screen between external reality and the world we perceive, and how reality changes on the way in. This time, a psychic power, fortune telling. Think about the stock market. What happens when the value of a stock has been steadily rising for a long period of time? It begins to feel inevitable that it will continue to rise into the future. People buy that stock believing that it will continue to go up, and the demand causes that to happen. But sooner or later, the bubble bursts and there's a collapse. The most basic rule in investing is buy low, sell high. Buy it when it's cheap and then sell it when it's expensive. But as you know, huge numbers of investors do exactly the opposite. They buy when the stock has been going up for a long while and is higher than it's ever been. Then the value collapses and they sell it at a loss. Yes, cryptocurrency, I'm talking about you. So what's going on here? We're taking an experience in the present and we're predicting what's going to happen in the future. This is natural. We do it all the time, but it can cause problems. Our predictions aren't just based on the data at hand, they're also based on our hopes and fears. In the case of the stock market, hope that a stock will continue rising can overcome our common sense. To some extent, we have to predict the future. Which of the items on this menu will you like? If you take this job, will it work out? If you go on this holiday, will you be glad you did? Virtually every decision you make is based, at least in part, on a prediction about the future. Mostly, though, we recognize the truth. We don't really know what's going to happen. All of our predictions are tentative. Might happen, might not. The future's out there somewhere, and we will react to it when it comes. In cognitive therapy, there's a standard model. Go see 100 cognitive therapists, and sooner or later, they will all draw you the same picture. Situation, appraisal, response. Something happens, you evaluate it, you try to assign some meaning to it, and then you have a reaction. You feel something, maybe you do something. So for example, a dog runs up to you. You try to figure out whether it's friendly or hostile, and then you either bend down to pat it or you fearfully run away. Your reaction is not based on the dog. It's based on what you think about the dog. We have all seen people reach out to pat what seems to us an obviously unfriendly dog, and we've all seen people who are terrified by a friendly dog that's wagging its tail. All of the cognitive distortions in this series are ways that the appraisal gets pulled away from reality, causing distortions, either emotional or behavioral, that aren't helpful. In fortune telling, we're projecting ourselves into the future and guessing what's going to happen. Then we forget that that's only a prediction, one possibility among many. Which one do we focus on? In fortune telling, we're almost always focusing on one that we fear, one that we don't want to come true. So our fears or preconceived ideas influence what we predict might happen. Then we engage in probability inflation. So let's say there's financial trouble at your company and they're talking about layoffs. There's a certain possibility that you're going to lose your job. Your fear of that happening will make you focus on that outcome. And without realizing it, the fear may cause you to increase the apparent likelihood of it happening. Maybe it's a 10% chance. Without noticing, you may inflate that to 90% or even 100%. I'm sure it will be me. The tentativeness of the prediction gets erased. And then here's the critical part. You react to your prediction, but not as though it's something that might happen. You react as though it has already happened. You suffer that emotional response and turmoil to something that is completely imaginary, something that in many cases is never going to happen. Life is hard. Lots of bad stuff happens to us. We're going to suffer the effects of that. But no matter how bad our lives are, we can always imagine way more bad stuff happening than really will happen. So if we do a lot of fortune telling, we'll have to suffer not only from all the crap that happens, but also all the crap that might happen and probably won't. The plane won't crash. The bank won't be robbed. The company won't go bankrupt. And the roof won't collapse. But you will experience the emotional pain of it anyway. And maybe you'll restrict your life as a result. You'll never start that business because your crystal ball says it's going to fail. You'll never date that person because you are sure that you're going to be dumped. You'll never audition for that play because you already know you won't get the part. And you won't try that sport because you know you'll be terrible at it. You'll try to restrict your life to the sure things. And the problem with that, as you already know, is that there aren't any sure things. So to sum up, fortune telling means seizing on one possible outcome that hasn't happened yet, often based on your fears, and then treating it as though it's a certainty or as though it's already happened and suffering the emotional consequences. With each distortion, I've been suggesting a phrase that you can use to remind yourself to correct for that distortion if you suspect it's operating, kind of like a mantra. So here's the one for fortune telling. You don't own a crystal ball. Stick with the present. It's hard enough. My books, including the Assertiveness Workbook, How to Be Miserable, and How to Be Miserable in Your 20s, are all available from bookstores and online booksellers. There's information about each of them at randypatterson.com. And my online courses can be found at psychologysalon.teachable.com. Thanks for watching.